This is a little bit more responsible story. I know a lot of people heard about solar flares in the last couple years. Actually, you've been hearing about them in 2010, 2011, 2012. You heard about them in conjunction with the Mayan calendar. Now, this is from Lloyd's of London, the big insurance agent, basically, and this is a report from a broker, which he's talking about. It's actually from Lloyd's of London broker Ian Benfield. He says it goes on to state that scientists forecast that solar flares and geomagnetic activity will peak in 2013 in accordance with the sun's 11-year cycle. It's actually happened where there's been damage to satellites and telecommunication networks and things like that. Not that the world's going to end. I mean, things can be repaired if something can happen, but the actual peak is supposed to be somewhere between, I'm reading also, May of 2013 and September 2013, so somewhere in that time frame. Now, I just want to point something out about history itself. If you look at history, it's basically the ho-hum everyday occurrences have been going on, and that's not an historical event. A historical event becomes when something extraordinary comes about. So, not that there's doom and gloom, but, hey, if there's a volcano in Mount St. Helens erupts, and actually people knew about that ahead of time, um, it's an historical event. So this is actually coming from Lloyd's of London. So you're setting up some contingencies in case there's a solar flare, solar weather that's actually going to affect communications and cause them to pay out money for insurance. And it goes on. He says damage to electrical grids and transformers has been reported in South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. In terms of longitude, ultimately depends on which part of the Earth's surface is facing the coronal mass ejection from the sun as it approaches the Earth. So it all depends on timing when this happens. So, what I'm really putting this out for is like this. You got preparations. It's not stupid to prepare. It's stupid when you don't need it, but when you need it, you're like, wow, man, I'm glad I did this stuff. So, absolutely prepare. And it's not like you want to say the end of the world is going to happen, because if this thing occurs this year, because it's an 11-year cycle, and actually communications and electronics are getting more and more complicated every year. So, 11-year cycle, guess what? Maybe it's going to happen this year that something happens. The report stresses that solar storms are not black swan events. In other words, they happen. They happen. Ones that they're not unexpected. It's timed. In other words, it's sort of like, they expected Mount St. Helens to erupt, and guess what? It did erupt with extreme impact, but, predictable with hindsight. And the insurers, this is the case, this is from Lloyd's of London, and the insured can take action to limit their losses. So this is another reason, like, what do you prepare for? Really, why do you prepare? Isn't that a type of insurance? It's a type of insurance that basically you make payments on, and once you make the payment, to your preparations, basically that's what prepping is. Isn't it insurance? It's a type of insurance that you don't have to pay, but it's like self-reliance insurance. It's like self-insuring. That's a good way to put it, right? It's prepping. Really think about it. Don't think about it as end of the world. If something happened here, say communications got knocked out for a few days, and things happen. Hey, you want a few days worth of food and water, don't you? I mean, just in case, you never know. I mean, not that this is going to happen for sure, but like the article goes on to state, it depends on what part of the Earth is facing the corona ejection or whatever the hell it is, and considering things are getting more and more complex with communications and things, it's not like they're not going to be able to fix it. Oh hell, they'll manufacture transformers or whatever. If they got to put satellites up again, or they got to reroute the way the communications and satellites breaks or something. Some satellite broke and they got to make other satellites take up for the activity. Hey, it'll work. It'll work. But it's just like, I almost kind of put this almost like the 2000 bug. There'll be problems, but we'll overcome them. But it's still smart to prepare. That's a type of insurance. And again, I just want to repeat, history is basically like a bunch of events that happen out of the ordinary. Like we don't have these solar flares all the time. They happen every 11 years. But this is supposed to be more active time, a little more active than the normal 11-year cycles. So, it has nothing to do with the Mayan calendar or nothing like that. But, hey, something might happen. And I'm sure if something happens, there's going to be a lot of drama on YouTube. But I'm going to tell you right now, it'll be fixed. But this is a reason to prepare. And actually, preparation, when you're prepping, you're basically, let's use the word, you're self-insuring. So this is from Lloyd's of London, very responsible per people. And they're setting up some kind of contingencies for this because it's a possibility that may happen in 2013. The time frame is going to be somewhere they expect the most activity is to be between May 2013 and September 2013. So we'll see. Nothing that you got to hold your breath about, worry, and all this type of stuff. But that's a smart reason you should self-insure / prepare, right? Anyway, take care and over and out. But this is from Lloyd's of London, so it's like pretty responsible article in my opinion.